Listen, before the dawn bell ever rings, before the first torch is lit along the walls, there is a softer light that stirs an entire kingdom awake. It is the glow that rises from a single hearth where a mother hums, the sound so steady that even the stone golems in the square remember how to be gentle. In a world of dragons and knights, of elves who speak with trees and orcs who bind their honor with braids of iron, this is the first magic many of us ever receive. Not a spell cast with words of power, not a rune carved on a waystone, but a warmth pressed into a child's hands and a promise no storm can easily steal. In the village under the mountain, a woman tucks a blanket around her sleeping son. The cloth is rough as burlap, and yet it holds more protection than any dragon scale shield. She knows his breathing by heart, the way his chest rises like a quiet tide. When he wakes from a dream of wolves, she turns him toward the hearth and whispers, "I am here." That is the beginning of 1,000 beginnings. The first teaching before the guilds, before the scrolls, before the oaths. A mother's love matters because it is the first map we draw of the world, and on that map, we learn where safety lives. A squire in a low tower grips a wooden sword and tries not to tremble. He has a trial at moonrise. The knights talk of courage as if it is a blade they were born with, sharp from the start. But the squire remembers a simpler lesson. The way his mother steadied his hands over a bowl of stew when he was small, saying, "We breathe together." It sounded like nothing, just air, just a shared rhythm. But it was a bridge he could cross wherever he wandered. Even now, by torchlight, he closes his eyes and steps onto that bridge again. His fear does not vanish, but it begins to hold still. Courage, he learns, is often a memory of being held until your own heart learns the pattern. In the forest glades, an elf child walks with a grandmother whose hair is silver moss. They touch the runes etched into an old birch and speak the names of those who came before. The child asks, "Why does your voice make the leaves stop shaking?" The grandmother smiles. "Because I have learned to be a calm river, and rivers teach roots how to drink." This is the quiet craft of early care, the art of lending one's steadiness to another creature until it grows its own. Some would call it co-regulation if they wore scholars' robes, but here under the boughs it is simply living. One steady heart teaching another how to find a pace that does not spill. A gnome mother teaches her daughter to set tiny gears in a music box, each tooth aligning not by accident but by trust. If one gear is bent, the song stutters. If many are bent, the melody can lose its path. When a child is small, the mother is the first hand that sets the gears straight. Predictable, gentle, returning again and again at the same hour with bread, with stories, with the way she sees her child and actually sees these rituals do not tie us down. They let us move. From them, the mind learns, I can reach and something will reach back. A mother's love is not only a feeling, it is a pattern that tells a young soul what to expect from daybreak, from the village, from themselves. Sometimes the pattern is not soft. In the mountain fastness, an orc matron teaches her sons to not rope and look others in the eye. Her words are fewer, the house louder, the lessons hard. But when one boy returns with a split lip, she does not ask first about the fight. She asks whether he washed the wound with clean water. She cleans it herself, working the cloth with a steady hand and a murmured chant to soothe the sting. The boy learns that authority can be stern and still be safe, that strength can guard and not crush. That, too, is a form of love. Boundaries laid like stones across a river, giving you a way to cross without being swept away. In the northern crags, a dragon matriarch curls around her clutch. The eggs are pearly and quiet, but she hums in a tone as old as mountains, a sound that vibrates through shell and dream. When the first hatchling breaks free, its heart already knows the meaning of that hum. Here is warmth, food, protection. Across species and kingdoms, the first bond is a guiding star. Under its light, we learn whether the world is mostly frost or mostly firelight, whether we ourselves are an afterthought or the center of someone's gaze. This star does not decide everything about us, but it is the compass we first hold, and it tilts us toward certain paths. There are other tales too, and they must be told honestly. In the shadow of the old city walls, a witch's apprentice remembers a house where the hearth burned low and voices snapped like ice. A mother distracted by her own storms, or weary or absent by fate's cruel choice. The apprentice grew clever, learned to read faces, learned to fetch praise the way others fetch water. Such children often become shapeshifters of the heart, learning to be useful, invisible, pleasing, anything but a burden. They survive marvelously, but at night the cost rises like a tide, and their own needs feel like a forbidden tongue. This too is why a mother's love matters. When it is scarce or unpredictable, the child grows 1,000 strategies to cross the day, and later those strategies may not set them free. If you were blessed with a mother's gentle consistency, you might recognize the way your inner voice encourages you when you stumble, the way you trust a hand extended toward you. If you were not, you might recognize a different inner chorus, one that judges quickly or doubts kindness like a traveler who has been cheated at too many roadside inns. These are not curses, but they can feel like old runes carved in places you cannot easily reach. The good news is that runes can be rewritten. Not in an instant, not by a grand spell, but by newer patterns, patient and echoing, like water finding a new path through stone. In a hall lit by braziers, a band of knights swear oaths to protect the weak. The guildmaster places a hand over each heart and says, "You will become what you repeat." Many of us carry oaths from childhood that were never spoken aloud. I must not need. I must not cry. Love is fed by perfection. These are heavy to wear. 100 small moments like this tell a child, you are worth the best part. Later, that child will know to give herself rest when she is weary and mercy when she is late. This is how early love becomes the inner law. A unicorn will bow only to those who carry a certain quiet within them. It is not pride the creature fears, but greed. Not sadness, but fear of sadness. A person who's been mothered with presence can meet the unicorn's gaze and not rush to fill the silence. They can stand near beauty without needing to own it. Stand near pain without needing to fix it too fast. That is another reason a mother's love matters. It teaches us to stay with our own feelings and later to stay with another's without turning away. Where there is staying, there can be healing because wounds knit best when no one is tearing the bandage off too soon. Let us go to the marketplace, where a boy drops a clay cup and it shatters like a tiny world. If his mother only scolds and turns back to her stall, he will learn that mistakes are dangerous and perhaps begin to hide them. If she sighs, gathers the pieces, and shows him how to sweep without cutting his fingers, he will learn something else, that broken things can be handled carefully, that a mistake is not the same as being unworthy. He may still wince at the sound of breaking years later, but he will know where to find a broom and how to keep his fingers whole. Not all mothering comes from the one who bore you. In the hill country, a shepherd lass loses her mother to fever and grows quiet as the moon. A fairy woman, old as the hill and small enough to ride a thistle seed, visits at dusk and braids the child's hair with a thread of dawn. You will not be alone, she hums. and keeps humming across many twilights, bringing milkweed fluff for pillows, calling the sheep by their nicknames. Love can arrive in many shapes: an aunt with a firm hand, a neighbor with a pot of stew, a healer who listens under lamplight, a teacher who remembers your name each morning. Sometimes the land itself adopts you, the lake that recognizes your reflection, the oak that leans a little farther over your favorite reading stone. A mother's love matters because when it is missing, the heart still longs for it, and the world, kind when we ask, can provide some of its threads. There are also the ones who grow up amid plenty and still feel unwarmed. It happens in strongholds with banners and gold. A mother present in body but not in presence, distracted by her own battles, counting victories instead of moments. The child becomes a champion, perhaps even a magician of high renown, but their triumphs taste like ash. When they finally sit by a foreign hearth and a stranger asks, "How are you truly?" something inside them breaks like winter giving way to spring. Love is not measured in trophies or achievements. It is measured in attention, a mother's gaze that lingers without weighing, a hand that does not flinch from your sadness, a patience that does not treat your smallness as an inconvenience. These are the things that teach a person they are allowed to exist without performing. In the desert beyond the waystones, a caravan moves by night. A witch cradles her infant as the sands hum with old stories. She rubs oil into tiny feet and whispers blessings that name the body parts one by one, as if introducing the child to their own skin. This is your hand. It may make wonders. This is your belly. It deserves kindness. These are your eyes. They will see both beauty and truth. Many of us never received such introductions, and we spent years treating our bodies like beasts to be whipped into speed. Where a mother's love teaches tenderness toward flesh, a person can grow into a steward of their own well-being, eating when hungry, resting when tired, walking away from harm without needing to be burned twice. At the edge of the marsh, a stone golem tends lilies. Long ago, a dowser with a laugh like warm rain carved a spiral into his chest and set a small ember within it. "This is what care does," she said, pressing clay around the ember so it would not blow out. "It gives you a center. Without that ember, the golem would obey commands but wander without aim. With it, he becomes a gardener, patient and precise, understanding that growing things take time. People are not so different. A steady love gives us a center. We can take orders, yes, and weather storms, yes, but we also know what we are about, and our work stops being a defense and becomes a gift. There are nights of thunder when even the bravest knight seeks the sound of someone else's breathing. There are mornings when the bravest mother sits by the hearth and weeps because the bread burnt, and the baby will not settle, and the days are rivers with no banks. Love does not turn anyone into a saint. It allows clumsiness. It allows trying again without self-curse. In homes where love has been taught, even the dragon learns to lower her head so a child can pat her snout. And even the orc learns to say, "I was wrong," without losing face. This is how kindness spreads. Not as a decree from the high tower, but as a practice at the low table. Perhaps you listen to these tales and feel both warmed and wounded. Perhaps your mother sang runes into your bones and you carry her voice like a lantern. Or perhaps your childhood was a winter that stretched long and you learned to make fire with wet wood. Both truths can live together. Here is the quiet teaching that matters. Even if your first map was drawn in fog, you can redraw it. You can choose companions who treat you like someone worth waiting for. You can become an elder to yourself, an inner mother who says, "Eat, rest, try again tomorrow." You can place a small ember in your own chest and protect it the way the dowser taught the golem to do. If you are already a mother in any sense, by blood, by promise, by accident of two people meeting at the right hour, hear this blessing. Your small acts matter. The way you look up when a child speaks, the way you name their feelings instead of demanding they hide them, the way you hold the line and say no, not as a cliff, but as a fence with a gate. These become the child's inner weather. They will carry your steadiness into caves you will never walk, and your gentleness will help them move through rooms where a harsh voice might have shattered them. You are writing runes in soft wax that will harden in the sun, and even if later chisels leave marks, your first letters will still be there, shining under the surface. And to those who were not mothered as they needed, or who lost their mother to fate, or who carry a mother's harshness like an iron band, know this: there are guilds of care that will welcome you. A healer who makes time, a friend who brings soup when storms roll in, a mentor who corrects without cutting. Seek them as you would seek a waystone in fog. Offer them your loyalty and your listening. Learn to receive as if it is a skill, because it is. Over time, the inner vows that once kept you safe will loosen. The vow to never depend, the vow to never cry, and you will find you can be brave in softer ways. Some say the greatest magic is the kind that bends lightning or summons beasts from deep caves. Perhaps. But the magic that keeps kingdoms standing is quieter. It happens when a mother pulls a child onto her lap after a harsh day and says, "Tell me." It happens when she names the good and the bad without making the child choose between them. It happens when she forgives herself for the days she fails and tries again, modeling how to be an imperfect creature without turning cruelty inward. A mother's love matters so much because it shapes what love feels like inside a person, and that shape touches everyone they meet. Even dragons have mothers. Even witches need to be held sometimes while their potions fail and smoke stains the rafters. Even kings, even goat herds, even the tiniest sprite that lights a traveler's path. Every creature breathes easier when it knows a steady presence is near. We begin life looking into someone's face to learn who we are. And if that face says, "You are a burden," we shrink. And if that face says, "You are a miracle," we learn to walk as if the ground enjoys holding us up. It is not too late to find such a face, even if it is your own in the water at dawn, promising to be kinder than the voices you inherited. So let this be your lantern for the road. If your mother's love was a hearth, tend it. If it was a spark, shelter it. If it was a frost, learn the crafts that make warmth anyway. Gather friends like dry kindling. Let mentors be flint, and strike again and again until the ember catches. When you see a child anywhere in the realms, offer the sort of attention that says, "I see you," and mean it. When you see yourself falter, offer the same. In a world of oath-bound magic, let your oath be simple, to become the steady presence you sought, and to honor those who offered it to you while you were still learning your name. And tonight, when the torches are doused and the city sighs, listen for the oldest song. A mother humming under her breath as she ties a ribbon around a small wrist, as she places a bowl where little hands can reach, as she stands in a doorway and watches the dark until she is sure the child is sleeping. This is how kingdoms endure, not only by swords and treaties, but by the quiet vow made at countless hearths. I will be here. The child hears it, and the heart learns it, and one day when that child has their own storm to cross, they will whisper to themselves the same promise. The road is long, yes, but there's a light that moves with you.